Alrighty, so this is the last video in this little video series where we are putting all of the top 60cc saws that are out there available on the market against each other. So the saws in question are the Echo 590 Timberwolf, the Echo 620, the Husqvarna 562 XP, and shockingly, the Stihl MS400. The MS400 is 67 cc's, so why am I considering it a 60cc saw? Well, blatantly because it performs like one. So now, I know I've heard a lot of stuff about the 400. Trust me, I put out a lot of videos on it. But what I'm seeing it as of right now, and it's always kind of seemingly been this, it's like, yeah, that is like a really awesome 60cc saw, even though it's 67 cc's. So anyways, it's the size and weight of a 60cc saw, and performance-wise, it feels like a really nicely ported 60cc saw. That's what it feels like. And so, why is the 590 there and not the Husqvarna 460 Rancher, the Stihl MS391 or 311? I think the 391 is their 60cc saw. Well, because those are the Rancher and the Stihl 391 are plastic case farm and ranch duty saws. Either one of them would be left behind by any of these saws that I'm testing in question. Plus, I don't own those, so it's hard for me to test those when I don't own it. I get a lot of you guys going, "Hey, will you test this saw?" And it's like, well, I mean, I have to buy that saw to test it, So anyways, that's the way that goes. And a lot of stuff, I'm just like, I'm not going to spend my money on that. Anyways, so this 590, I got it for $50. I've got about $150 in that saw. I got it for $50 with a fried piston. I cleaned up the cylinder. I put a 620 piston in it. And because it's got the double rings, there's no difference other than that. It's got two rings, and two rings allow you to carry more compression. There you go. But I put new crank seals in it because it did get burnt up just in case, I'd put them in there, even though I think that the owner just simply didn't sharpen the chain and ran it into the ground and overheated it, and that's what caused the failure. I get a lot of that. A lot of people think that Echoes are junk because they run into a situation like this and they go, that was a nice new saw and it burnt up. Well, it burnt up because of operator error, not because the saw is inferior. Anyways, back to it. The 590, once I cleaned everything up, I went ahead and did a port job on that 590 cylinder. And I did a muffler mod, and I did a carburetor mod, and I advanced the timing. So, whenever I first did all of this to this 590 Timberwolf, I was like, you can look back in my videos, and I ported it. Just look for that red top on there. It's like a maroon top. I was at first really excited, but then putting it up against an unported saw that had been broken in, there was minuscule advantage. So I was like, that kind of sucks. I mean, it still ran great, but minuscule advantage with the port job. But now that we have come back to it, this saw went to the owner. His name is Andreas, and he has a small tree service that he takes jobs here and there, and he loves this saw. He thinks it's just freaking awesome, And I got to say, at this point, it is, because it is definitely broken in. I don't know how many tanks of fuel he has ran through it. My guess would be probably 20 or 30 at this point. A lot. It is very broken in at this point. And boy, does it run good. It runs so good, as a matter of fact, that $150 chainsaw is right there neck and neck with Stihl's premium. I still gonna say 60cc saw, even though it's 67cc saw. It was meant for that niche. It was not meant for the 70 plus cc category. No, it was meant to kick butt as a 60cc saw. So if you can see it in that manner, then the MS400 makes sense. In order to compete with Husqvarna's 562 XP, they took the 362, the Stihl 362. They gave it this great big magnesium piston. And now, all of a sudden, they can compete in the 60cc category with the Echo 620 and with the Husqvarna 562. All it takes for Stihl to be competitive is to add 8 cc's over their competition. Anyways, that's it. Yeah. I know. I got some few of you guys that are like really hardcore Stihl fans, but it's like, whatever. It's a great saw. It really is. But when you put it up against, well, heck, a Husqvarna 266 XE, or 268 has the exact same boring stroke. And it's from the early 80s. And yes, it is right there competitive with the MS400. Right there. I mean, neck and neck, So, and my 670 Champ, my Jansred 670 Champ, I'm still confident that it will beat the 400 in stock trim, stock for stock. Stock for stock. Maybe I'm wrong, but even if I'm wrong, I paid like $50 for my 670. So $50, $1,000. You would think that the $1,000 saw would just kill it, but anyways, whatever. But that's enough on that. I mean, the 400 is really nice, but it's odd because it's a 67cc saw that I can't help but lump it in with the 60cc saws. So whenever you put them like that, you're like, yeah, it's gonna be competitive. But I've yet to port this Stihl, and I think that it would benefit from a regular aluminum piston. I think that it would really benefit from a heavier piston. I do. So, I mean, other things are getting the same RPMs or higher with a heavy piston. So, yeah, honestly, I look forward to somebody making a pop-up aluminum piston for the Stihl MS400. I think it'll be an upgrade. Heck, even if you didn't do the pop-up portion, I think the magnesium lightweight piston is working against it. I think it needs to be heavier. But anyways, this 590 is, I think, very impressive. It's very impressive that this 590 is right there toe-to-toe with this MS400. That is a 590 cylinder. It is not the upgraded 620 cylinder. The porting worked well. And so if there's people out there that are wondering because I was wondering for a long time, it's hard to port the 590 and blah, 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 blah. I know others have had issues and trouble porting them, and turns out that This one worked out good. I'm very happy about it. I mean, geez, it's a 590. It's a 590 that is really right there with the MS400. And if you've watched the other videos in this series, can't help but make note of it that at the smooth glide down the shaft, right, whenever I'm not putting any pressure on it, the 590 chain seems to be skipping over the wood. Either it's because of the extra RPMs that it's pulling, or it's because the chain is not quite as sharp. Both of these saws are outfitted with a Husqvarna C83 chain. But the one on the Echo has seen a little bit more use, and so it could be slightly dull. But I would say that this 590 probably has identical power numbers to that MS400. MS400 stock, I get it. I get it. But yeah, I'm very happy about the 590. And as always, Stihl disappoints. It just nothing wrong with it. There's just not enough right with it.